aware if you're going to put this on your Jeep Gladiator. Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to Rob Motive JT. That's right, there's something to be aware of if you're going to put this on your Jeep Gladiator. I wasn't aware of it when I did it, and I regret it ever since, and I'm probably going to have to change it out. Fortunately, it's not a mod that costs a ton of money, so I should be able to replace it and maybe even sell the existing one online somewhere, or maybe I'll do a giveaway, who knows. But what I'm talking about is the sunscreen. The Jeep Gladiator, of course, is a convertible, right? I mean, you can take the top off. Now, depending on where you live, that can be a bit of a drag because of the bright sunshine. Something I discovered by living in South Texas. You know, it's hot, it's humid, and the sun is intense. So I decided to put one of those sunshades on. I did a video about it, and I've talked about the reasons I didn't like it before, but the more I'm exposed to it, the more important I think it is. And what I'm talking about is the color. You wouldn't think that would matter, right? And I didn't. You know, I bought orange to match the theme of the Jeep Gladiator Mojave. It has all the orange accents and all that stuff, so I thought it'd be good to put it on. So I did. I will say one thing about those shades. They are a bit of a struggle to get on. You know, in the directions, and they send you this little piece of cardboard, or it's not even cardboard, it's like thicker paper, that you're supposed to roll up and use as a guide to pull the bungees down in the tight spaces. And there are a lot of tight spaces and a lot of pressure on those bungee cords. Didn't work really well for me. They're too short. It's only about this long. It's too short, and the paper started to rip. So I happened to have some cording sitting around, a canvas kind of stuff, which is in the video. I showed that, so if you're interested in seeing exactly what I'm talking about, check that video out. You can find it by just searching Sunshade, Rob Motive JT Sunshade, or something like that. So anyway, I had a roll of this stuff, so I got to thinking, this is just flat material, right? I actually used it as the pulls in my Toyota Tacoma because Toyota decided to remove those. So I made some myself, and I had a ton of this stuff left over. It's not very expensive, and as I said, I used, and I'm glad I did have it because using it to put the sunscreen on the Jeep Gladiator made things much easier after I was about halfway through. Now, why is it such a problem? Why am I making another video about this? Because it drives me insane. You know, I put this thing on to block out the sun, right? So that my mane here that doesn't protect my head didn't let my head burn, you know? Not to mention it was just hot. Driving around with that sun beating down is just terrible. So it works great for that purpose. I mean, it shields out the sun, the rays don't hit your head or anything else so much, and it keeps you a little bit cooler, particularly if you have the air conditioning blasting in there. Which, by the way, somebody else had left a comment about the Jeep Gladiator's air conditioning being subpar when the top is off and the windows are down. And I'm like, well, no kidding. I mean, gee, try driving around in the summer with everything off when it's minus 20 outside and then complain about it being cold. Put the top on if you don't like it. But anyway, it's so bright. And it's not because of the mesh pattern or anything like that. When I've talked about this before, some people had said, well, the mesh pattern is too big. The holes are too big in the mesh. They're letting too much light through. That's not true. I think if the mesh pattern or spacing on the one that I have was any tighter, any closer, it probably would just be a solid cover. And maybe that would be a good thing. I don't know. But because it is a light color, orange, it's really bright up there and it really catches your eye. I mean, when I'm driving, I can see it up there and it brightens up the whole cab. Now, it's not quite as bright, of course, as not having it at all with just the sun beating down, but it is very bright to the point where it's a bit annoying. Now, the remedy for that, well, one, I could have just sent it back and got another one, but what a hassle after I already have the thing on. No way am I doing that. Secondly, some people have suggested painting it. That's not a horrible idea, but I think the spacing again on the matting is so tight that if I painted it, the paint would actually clog the holes and it would make it a solid piece, if you will. Also, I'm not so sure the paint would stick very well. I think after a while, with the sun beating down on it, the paint would start to flake off, and that would be a mess. Last thing I want to do is have little teeny shards of flaked off paint flying all around inside the truck. I mean, I could just see the nastiness that might cause. Might even fly in your eyes while you're driving around. A good idea, but not practical, I don't think, because of the construction and the material of that webbing or that shade that I have on the top. So the only other answer is to buy a different one. And I would caution you, if you're in the market and you're looking for one, and they don't cost that much money, well, unless you go for one of the really expensive ones. Mine was bought off Amazon. It wasn't a ton of money. So it's not going to hurt too much to replace it. But I think I'm going to go with something dark, either black. Maybe I could get by with a really deep dark red, but I would caution you not to go with anything that's a light color. If you have to go with something other than black, I would go with something that's very, very dark. Because once you put it on that roof, open her up, you're going to have the sun beating down and lightening that thing up anyway, and you might still have the problem of the glare and the brightness that you get out of that. I don't know. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to replace it with something. I dread having to go through, one, and take off those bungees, and two, put the new one on, because I'm sure it's going to go on the same exact way. Now, one other thing I do want to mention, some people have asked me, well, how does it work with the Sunrider soft top or putting the Freedom panels back on? Some folks have chimed in as far as the Freedom panels go. I don't use the Freedom panels, but a lot of people have told me they don't have any issue with them. They still fit back on the truck without any problems. So for what it's worth, I've been told that the Freedom panels fit back on perfectly. As far as the Sunrider soft top, and what I'm talking about is not really clearance between the top and the shade itself. It's the hooks that you latch the top down in the front. The problem is there's no spacing. It'd be nice if they gave you some sort of a little cutout right where those little fasteners are, but they don't. It goes straight across. So what you have to do is kind of contort your hand a little bit, reach up there once you put the Sunrider back down, and then grab that handle and kind of pull down on the shade a little bit. Now, the issue with that is how many times do you figure you can pull that shade back before it starts to wear, either rips, deforms, or wants to stay back. So that's the issue with doing that. I'm not real happy with that setup, but it's kind of an annoyance as opposed to a problem. I wouldn't say there's any real big issue with it, but I think it could have been designed a little bit better. Even some sort of a little, I don't know, round out there or something as opposed to square slots. That would make it easier to reach up there and grab that handle and reattach the Sunrider soft top. Anyway, I just wanted to get on here, talk about that a little bit. This is one thing that you should be cautious of if you're looking to put it on your Jeep Gladiator. Leave a comment. Let me know if you have one. How does it work for you, particularly with the Freedom panels? I'd be curious to know. Also, real quick, I do have 2 additional channels. Rob Motive, all about Toyota Tacomas, and Rob Motive MT, all about compact or mini trucks. Check them out, and if you're interested, why not subscribe? Thanks for watching. Stay safe out there. Bye.